How do you convert fractions into decimals or percents? So I have 1/2. The best way is to change the fraction and give it a denominator of 100. So to go from 2 to 100, I will multiply by 50. So I will do the same thing on the top. 1 times 50 is also 50. So 50 over 100 means 50%. Percent means a fraction out of 100. And from percentage to decimal, I can simply move the decimal point 2 places to the left. So right here we have no decimal point, which means that the decimal point is at the very end. So I move it 2 places to the left. 0.50. In other words, 0.50. You can also say 0.5 because the 0, which comes after the decimal point, does not change the value of the expression. So let's try again over here. So I want to write the same fraction, making sure I have 100 here as my denominator. I know I have to multiply by 20 because 5 times 20 is 100. I do the same thing here, times 20. 3 times 20 is 60. So I know I have 60%. And then from the percentage, I know I will have 0.60 or 0.6. Let's try the next one. So I want to have this fraction as 100 on the bottom. So that means I'm multiplying by 10 because times 10 is 100. Whatever I do on the bottom, I have to do the same thing on the top so that the two fractions are equivalent. So that will give me 70. 3 over 20. So what is that out of 100? Times 5 times 5. So that will give me 15 out of 100. That's 15%, 0.15. The same process goes here. I want out of 100. I know that 25 times 4 is 100. So I have to multiply by 4 as well. 68. So this is 68%, 0.68. Let's try here. Now this can be a little bit tricky. How do I get to 100 from here? There is no whole number that I can multiply by 8 to get 100. However, I can get 1000 if I multiply 8 by 125. So I will do the same thing here, 125. So 3 times 125, 375. So I have 375 over 1000. So as a decimal, it will be 0.375. Since this is 1000, I have 3 zeros. That means I will have 3 digits after the decimal point. To find the percentage from this number, I will move the decimal point 2 places back to the left. So that will be 37.5%. That is 625. So that means 0.625, which is 62.5%. How about this one? This one is tricky because there is no number you can multiply by 7 to get 100 or 1000, or so we have to use a long division. What is 4 divided by 7? 7 goes into 4 0 times. 0 times 7 is 0 minus, I have 4. I put a decimal point here, add a 0. 7 goes into 40 5 times. 5 times 7 is 35. I have 5 as a remainder. I add another 0. 7 goes into 50 7 times. 7 times 7 is 49. Subtract. So I have 50 minus 49. The remainder is 1. I add another 0. I add another 0. So that's 10. 7 goes into 10 1 time. 1 times 7 is 7. Subtraction. I have 3. I add another 0. 7 goes into 30 4 times. 4 times 7 is 28. I have the remainder of 2. I can go on and on and on. So this is a non-terminating decimal. So we just have to decide where to stop. I can say 0.5714. So it's 0.5714. Again, it goes on forever. We can just stop right here. And to find a percentage, I will move this decimal point 2 places to the right. So I will end up with 57.14%. Now we have a mixed number, 3 and 1/2. Well, this one is actually quite easy. We know that if we multiply by 50, we multiply by 50, we end up with 50 over 100. So this 3 and 50 over 100. So that means 3 is the whole number, 0.50. So this 3, the whole number, stays here in front of the decimal point, and then 50 over 100, we already know that it's 0.50, and that would be 350%. The same thing goes for the next question. I will multiply by 20, so I can have my denominator is 100. So I end up with 12, and 60 over 100, 12.60, which means 1260%. How about the next one? I multiply by 4 to get the denominator of 100. So the whole number doesn't change, it's 4 times 28 over 100. That means 4.28, 428%. There is no way I can multiply 3 by any integer to get 100, so I will use the long division again. 2 divided by 3. 6 is gonna keep repeating. So my answer is approximately 0.67. So my answer is basically 0.6 bar. I mean 6 is repeating forever, which is approximately 0.67. I'm rounding up. So 0.67, which of course means 67%, because I will be moving the decimal point 2 places to the right. I will let you use the long division for this one. You can try to see if you can do it by yourself. This one, before you do it, simplify first. If you divide by 9, you divide by 9, you will have 1 over 4. And 1 over 4, now that's easy actually, because 4 times 25 is 100. So if I multiply by 25, multiply this by 25, I will get 25 over 100, which means 25%, which means 0.25. Okay, now let's see. We go from decimal to percent. 0.23, well, that's 23%, and that is 23 over 100. How about 0.26? So that's 26%, which is 26 over 100. However, you have to simplify this one. So you divide by 2, you end up with 13 over 50. Always simplify whenever possible. How about 0.2? 0.2 as a percentage, I have to move the decimal point 2 places to the right. So when I move it one time, I get 2. When I move it again, I get 20. So this is 20%. So 20% means 20 over 100. I will divide by 20 on both sides, on the top and on the bottom. I will get 1 over 5, 1/5. How about 0.002? I will move the decimal point 2 places to the right. So I end up with 0.2%. Now I'm going to change this into a fraction. Now from here, I can't have a decimal and the fraction together. So I can start with multiplying both the top and the bottom by 10 times 10 times 10. I get 2 over 1000. And then from here, I simplify. Divide by 2, I get 1 over 500. Okay? That's your answer. How about this one? Now remember, the number before the decimal point is a whole number. So I have 2 here. So basically this here means 2 plus 0.3. So what is 0.3? 3/10. And then of course if I move the decimal point 2 places to the right, I will get 230%. What about the next one? This means 2 plus 0.03. So that's 2 for the whole number, and 0.03 means 3 over 100. So that's the mixed number. And of course, if I move the decimal point 2 places, I have 203%. Okay, so how about 4? The decimal point is here. Every whole number has a decimal point at the end. So now if I move it 2 places to the right, it becomes 400%, and then 4 over 1. How about 60% is a decimal? Move the decimal point, which is at the end, 2 places to the left, I will get 0.60 or 0.6, which means 60 over 100. Again, I'm going to simplify, divide by 20, I will end up with 3 over 5. How about 6%? 6% is 0.06. Fraction, that would be 6 over 100, 3 over 50. Here's the last page, 0.3% as a decimal. I move the decimals 2 places to the left, 1, 2, so I end up with what? 0.3 over 100, which means 3 over 1000 if I multiply by 10.